Hi, it's Maria from Still Dreaming Homestead. Glad you're with me tonight, and we're going to continue reading in our book, Farmer Boy by Laura Ingalls Wilder. So we're already on chapter 12, The Tin Peddler. A tin is a type of metal, and a peddler is a person that would go home to home and would sell things to the people. So let's find out about this. One evening after sunset, Almanzo saw a white horse pulling a large, bright red cart up the road, and he yelled, "The Tin Peddler's coming! The Tin Peddler's coming!" Alice ran out of the hen house with her apron full of eggs. Mother and Elijah Jane came to the kitchen door. Royal popped out of the pup house, and the young horses put their heads through the windows of their stalls and whinnied at the big white horse. Nick Brown, the Tin Peddler, was jolly. A jolly fat man, in fact. He told stories and sang songs. In the springtime, he went driving along the country roads, bringing news from far and near. His cart was like a little house, swaying on stout leather straps between four high wheels. It had a door on either side, and from its rear a platform slanted upward like a bird's tail, held in place by straps that went to the cart's top. There was a fancy railing all around the top of the cart, and the cart and the platform and the wheels were all painted bright red, with beautiful scrolls painted bright yellow. High in the front rode Nick Brown on a red seat above the rump of the sturdy white horse. Almanzo and Alice and Royal and even Elijah Jane were waiting when the cart stopped by the kitchen porch, and Mother was smiling in the doorway. "How do you do, Mr. Brown?" she called. "Put up your horse and come right in. Supper's almost ready." And Father called from the barn, "Drive into the buggy house, Nick. There's plenty of room." Almanzo unhitched the sleek, big horse and led him to water, then put him in a stall and gave him a double feed of oats and plenty of hay. Mr. Brown carefully curry-combed and brushed him and rubbed him down with a clean cloth. He was a good horseman. After that, he looked at the stock and gave his opinion of it. He admired Star and Bright and praised Father's colts. "You ought to get a good price for those coming 4-year-olds, he said to Father. "Over by Sarnick, the New York buyers are looking for driving horses. One of them paid $200 apiece last week for a team. Not a mite better than these." Almanzo could not speak while grown-ups were talking, of course, but he could listen. He didn't miss a thing that Mr. Brown said, and he knew that the best time of all was coming after supper. I'm going to show you what his cart looks like. He even has stuff on top of it. Nick Brown could tell more funny stories and sing more songs than any other man. He said so himself, and it was true. "Yes, sir," he said, "I'll back myself, not alone against any man, but against any crowd of men. I'll tell story for story and sing song for song, as long as you bring men up against me, and when they're all done, I'll tell the last story and sing the last song." Father knew it was true. He had heard Nick Brown do it in Mr. Case's store in Malone. So after supper, they all settled down by the heater, and Mr. Brown began. It was after 9 o'clock before anyone went to bed, and Almanzo's sides ached with laughing. Next morning after breakfast, Mr. Brown hitched the white horse to the cart and drove it up to the kitchen porch, and he opened the red door. Inside the cart was everything made of tin. On shelves along walls were nests of bright tin pails and pans and basins, cake pans, pie pans, bread pans, and dish pans. Overhead dangled cups and dippers, skimmers and strainers, steamers and colanders and graters. There were tin horns, tin whistles, tin toy dishes, and patty pans. There were all kinds of little animals made of tin, brightly painted. Mr. Brown had made all of them himself in the wintertime, and every piece was made of good, thick tin, well made and solidly soldered. Now that's kind of like welding. Mother brought the big rag bags from the attic and emptied on the porch floor all the rags she had saved from last year. Mr. Brown examined the good clean rags of wool and linen while Mother looked at the shining tinware, and they began to trade. See, again, they're doing trades lots of times instead of using money, and that's also called bartering. For a long time they talked and argued. Shining tinware and piles of rags were all over the porch. For every pile of rags that Nick Brown added to the big pile, Mother asked more tinware than he wanted to trade her. They were both having a good time, joking, laughing, trading. At last Mr. Brown said, "Well, ma'am, I'll trade you the milk pans and pails, the colander and the skimmer, and those baking pans, but not the dish pan. And that's my final offer." "Very well, Mr. Brown," Mother said unexpectedly. She had got exactly what she wanted. Almanzo knew she did not need the dish pan. She had set it out only to bargain with. Mr. Brown knew that too now. He looked surprised and looked respectfully at Mother. Mother was a good, shrewd trader. She had bested Mr. Brown, but he was satisfied too, because he had gotten plenty of good rags for his tinware. He gathered up the rags and tied them into a bale, and heaved the bale onto the slanting platform behind his cart. The platform and the railing around the top of the cart were made to hold the rags he took in trade. Then Mr. Brown rubbed his hands together and looked smiling. "Well now," he said, "I wonder what these young folks would like." He gave Elijah Jane 6 little diamond-shaped patty pans to bake little cakes in, and he gave Alice 6 heart-shaped ones, and he gave Almanzo a tin horn painted red. They all said, "Thank you, Mr. Brown." Then Mr. Brown climbed into the high seat and took up the reins. The big white horse stepped out eagerly, well fed, brushed, and rested. The red cart went past the house and lurched into the road, and Mr. Brown began to whistle. Mother had her tinware for that year, and Almanzo had his loud squawking horn, and Nick Brown rode whistling away between the green trees and the fields. Until he came again next spring, they would remember his news and laugh at his jokes, and behind the horses in the fields, Almanzo would whistle the songs that he had sung. Well, that sounded like that was a fun thing that they looked forward to every year, to the Tin Peddler coming. What kind of things do you look forward to every year? When I was young, when I was a little girl, I looked forward to Christmas time, and Easter time was really fun. I looked forward to school starting, and then I looked forward to school vacations. But one of the things I really, really looked forward to was getting to go swimming in the summer. That was really fun. All right, well, it's Maria from Still Dreaming Homestead. I love you, I really do. And I want to pray blessings on you and yours, in your house and out of your house, in the day and the night. Whatever you do, keep dreaming, keep a story in your heart. Bye-bye.